Hi, I'm Hannah Wallace and you're watching Finextra TV at Sibos. Welcome to this three-part thought leadership series, finding new ways to operate and transform financial services with machine learning. Speaking with us now is Kathryn Petralia, co-founder and president of Kabbage, a company which used machine learning to process and distribute Paycheck Protection Program loans to hundreds and thousands of small businesses, therefore a company that truly illustrates the power of AI and machine learning and the possibilities it can offer. So Kathryn, welcome to the show. Thank you for joining.
Thank you so much for having me.
No problem at all. So could you start off by telling us how Kabbage began its AI and machine learning journey and what were the driving factors? Let's start there.
It's funny, in some ways it was a little bit accidental. Kabbage, actually, we got our start because my co-founder, Rob, had this idea for using an API that was released by eBay in 2007 to automate the underwriting of small businesses on eBay for a small business loan. And he called me up and said, what do you think about that? And consumer lending had been automated since the 90s. And I thought, well, of course you could do that. And it turned out no one was doing it, but ignorance was bliss at the time. So we wound up connecting in real time to this third-party data source to which we were able to stay connected, and we wound up getting so much rich and interesting information. And the ability to use and understand and manage that information, I think, was really important for our success long term, but the only way to manage it is through using machine learning and building those types of models that can allow you to quickly cycle through lots of different data sources. And so we continue to grow. I think today fewer than 10% of our customers would be considered e-commerce businesses. We serve all types of businesses, and as APIs proliferated, we were able to direct our efforts toward those APIs that served non-e-commerce businesses as well.
All right, and I understand in the past few months, Kabbage pivoted its business to adapt and leverage your existing machine learning expertise. So I'd love to hear a bit more about this experience and what you learned from it. Can you tell us about that?
Small business loans tend to be very manual, lots of paper and people and faxes. And so when we learned about this program and realized that we had a unique opportunity to be part of it and that the SBA was going to allow fintechs to become lenders in the program, we were very excited to do something with that. And so I couldn't be prouder of our team. And in a matter of a couple of weeks, we wound up taking our automated small business lending machine and turning it into an automated PPP machine, which was really exciting for us. And we built an entire system that was able to ingest and classify and calculate data from documents that were uploaded by our customers, tax documents, again, that we'd never seen previously. So without machine learning, we would not have been able to as quickly develop the rules that we needed in order to ingest that data and automate the process. It turned out that of the more than 300,000 customers we served through the process, more than 80% of them were fully automated. And that's with very, very complicated tax data.
So throughout your journey, I'd love to hear a bit more about the lessons you learned along the way and how you intend to apply them going forward.
Well, it was a really complicated program, and there was a lot of uncertainty at the beginning about how it would work. I think what we learned, and what I've heard of so many times said about embarking on some sort of AI or machine learning journey, is you really want to understand what you're trying to prove. What's the goal of the project? And in our case, our goal was to serve as many small businesses as we could, especially the smallest. Of the 30 million small businesses in the US, 90% have fewer than 20 employees and 80% have fewer than 10. So you're talking about businesses that don't have a CFO and they don't have an accountant on staff. And so you need to make it really easy for them to get through the process, because they find, as do I, all of the documents and the data and the names of everything super confusing. And so as the program changed, we started out just taking in all the data we possibly could. We're like, if there's a tax form on the planet, we're going to suck it in and do stuff with it. And I think if we could do it over again, we would have taken a more directed approach to that. And we would have taken more time to understand what the most critical data points would have been. I think we would have spent less time spinning our wheels on documents and fields that were not as relevant to the program. I think that's the number one thing. And again, this is common wisdom, understand what the goal is before you start working. We just started firing on all cylinders.
All right, well, it sounds like you're in a good position then to give some advice to those hoping to avoid the common pitfalls. What advice would you give?
Well, I think the first one is people just get really excited about data and about automating access to that data and creating a case with that data to drive the business. And I think it's important to start with the goal in mind. Like, where are we going with this? What's the biggest opportunity that we have, and how is it going to drive the business? The PPP program was a little bit different because it was sort of an urgent need, and we weren't in control of all of the rules, and so we had to change on the fly as we went. I think most projects where you're building models or trying to ingest and understand a lot of data, you have more time to more clearly identify what the specific goal is of the program. And the other thing is to be willing to walk away from a project, even if it seems exciting, if it doesn't look like you're going to be able to achieve the goal with the data that you have, or be willing to go somewhere else to augment the data that you have. We wound up doing that on the forgiveness side. We wound up partnering with another company that was able to give us access to utilities data so we could help verify that businesses were using the funds the way they were intended, partially for payroll and partially for rent and utilities. And so I think that's really important to realize that you don't have to have everything in your own four walls.
All right, well, taking all of that into account, I'd like to end on you highlighting how firms can get the most out of AI and machine learning and what impact this will have on their business and also society, especially in increasingly uncertain times.
I think that any business that has information about its customers can use the data in ways to create a better experience for those customers. And I think that's the same thing that is the best end result for the use of that data. Obviously, there are privacy concerns, so we need to make sure that the data is protected and that we're not using it in ways that disparately impact those customers with the information that we have. We have to be good stewards of data and good stewards of our customer, but we can actually use that information to give the customers exactly what they need when they need it, to appropriately price things for the customers. I was just having this conversation the other day with someone, talking about how we could reinvent banking in a way to use all the data that we have to give customers only what they need and to charge them less, and that will make them more loyal and it will make them ultimately spend more money with those institutions. And I think there's a way to use data to flip the entire industry on its head, put customers in control, and make them, again, more loyal customers of those businesses. I'm talking about banks in particular, but I think it works for any business that has information about its customers.
Well, Kathryn, thank you so much for sharing your insights. You certainly painted a picture there, and looking forward to seeing how things develop further on. But for now, thank you very much.
Thank you.